Oh boy. What up? Let's get into it, guys. I'm still fucking sick, dude. I don't know. Crowds made of shattered glass. The hour's late, but time won't pass. Homes are sparkling, gas so far. Every door's locked, but we still want more. Break the silence, tear the seams. Drown the lights in violent screams. Break the chains, feel the burn. There's no savior, it's our turn. This to the sky, no gods, no kings. The way of truth is what freedom brings. There's a video I'm gonna go over at some point today. Just hyping myself up. I gotta work up the anger to bring to the mic. You know what I mean? It gives me time to let people come in. This is the world we live in, where shadows grow and lights grow dim. This is the world we live in, no saviors come and affect the sin. This is the world we live in, where shadows grow and lights grow dim. This is the world we live in, no saviors come and affect the sin. This is the world we live in. Walls were crowns made of shattered glass. The hour is late, but time won't pass. Homes to spark on a castle floor. Every door's locked, but we still want more. One more. We live in. We live in. Walls were crowns made of shattered glass. The hour's late, but time won't pass. Homes to spark on a castle floor. Every door's locked, but we still want more. Creating our slave. This is the world we live in. Wolves wear crowns made of shattered glass. The hour's late, but time won't pass. Hopes to spark on a gas-so floor. Every door's locked, but we still want more. Break the silence, tear the seams. Drown the lies in violent screams. Break the chains, feel the burn. There's no savior, it's our turn. Fist to the sky, no gods, no kings. The weight of truth is what freedom brings. Rip the veil, tear the disguise. Burn the fear right out of your eyes. Creating our slave. Burn fear right out of your eyes. Creating our slave. There's no fear right out. To the sky, no gods, no kings. The weight of truth is what freedom brings. Rip the veil, tear the disguise. Burn the fear right out of you. There we go. Alright. Fuck, dude. I'm telling you. I don't know if it's the storm or what, dude. But this storm, it's just wind, really. There's no rain or anything. So, just keep in mind, at any point, the stream could go down. I don't really have any control over that. But, in the meantime, got some stuff I want to go over. So, this was I was offered a debate with somebody. And, this was the topic that I chose. Was there a party switch? This is a topic that I don't understand how people still fucking argue this. People just don't want to look at things from outside of their own, like, narrative, right? No, there was never a party switch. There was an alignment of one party in the way that they enacted their core fundamentals, but the core fundamentals never actually changed. So, just wanted to get into this video real quick. This is Forgotten History. Go ahead and give them a sub. but it's about 16 minutes long. I'm gonna get into this video and we can talk about it. I got a lot of other shit to talk about today.
This is the story of one of the most controversial theories in American political history, the party switch. One of the great and often repeated myths in American politics is the great switch of the two primary political parties. One question often arises: how did the party of Abraham
What up, Cree Dog? Welcome in, dude. Welcome in. Glad to see you, man.
Base? How did Democrats go from the party of segregation and lynching to the party of civil rights? Was there, in fact, a complete ideological switch?
Because the idea is, well, they're the real Republicans, right? But, like, republics are not democracies. And that right there breaks the entire, like, core concept of that argument apart.
Let's clarify this situation. Was there really a full ideological switch between Democrats and Republicans? Today we're going to break down the facts and the fiction behind this idea. What is the party switch theory? What is the historical reality? When did this supposedly occur? Was it ever true? Hello, I'm Colin Heaton, former history professor, Army and Marine Corps veteran, and welcome to this episode of Forgotten History. The theory suggests that Democrats and Republicans swapped ideological platforms during the 20th century, especially on issues like civil rights, race, and the role of government. In this version of history, the Republican Party supposedly embraced the policies and the voters of the old Southern Democrats, while Democrats claimed to have transformed into champions of civil rights and minority causes. The Democratic Party, as we know it, was shaped by Andrew Jackson, a populist but also a slaveholder. The Republican Party, founded in the 1850s, was the party of Abraham Lincoln and born in opposition to the expansion of slavery, but not the abolishment of slavery. Please see our videos on Jackson and Lincoln. After the Civil War, Republicans pushed Reconstruction policies to protect the rights of freed black people. Meanwhile, Southern Democrats created and enforced Jim Crow laws, maintaining segregation and opposing civil rights for African Americans well into the 20th century. Even Democrat President Woodrow Wilson was a staunch racist who wanted complete government control and created the Internal Revenue Service with the 16th Amendment in 1913 and the Federal Reserve to take more money from Americans.
Yes.
By the 1930s, under Franklin D. Roosevelt, the Democratic Party began courting working class voters, including northern black communities, with programs like the New Deal.
Well, and I don't know if he's like going specifically in chronological order here, but a big thing, I'm pretty sure it was Herbert Hoover. One of the things that lost the Republican Party the black vote was there was this massive flood somewhere in the South. I can't remember exactly where it was, but like an entire black community was wiped out by this flood. And I'm pretty sure it was Herbert Hoover. It could have been someone else, but they completely ignored it and didn't talk about it. And so a large swath, it was national news, a large swath of the black population immediately went over to the Democrats because the Democrats pandered to them. That's not calling them stupid. I'm looking at this from an understanding, like, perspective, right? So if, let's just say, like, you know, white people, we're like 15% of the population. And the person who's president, there's an entire neighborhood of white people, right, that gets wiped out by a flood. And the president does nothing, says nothing, doesn't do anything to help the community that I'm in. I can understand why people would be upset about that. I can understand why people wouldn't want to support that anymore. And then you go to this other political party, regardless of their history, and they start pandering for you and your community's best interests. Everybody. It totally makes sense why there would be that massive shift, right? That's as much of a big switch as we've ever seen in the country, right? And it all had to do with some shitty politician just not giving a fuck about people. I mean, it's run of the mill shit. You know, it was just a bad time to not give a fuck about a specific group of individuals. That's what happened.
But FDR did little to nothing to improve race relations in the South and refused to support anti lynching legislation or desegregation of the military. He confiscated gold supplies from Americans, and he had the opportunity to desegregate the military and allow the immigration of Jews under persecution from Germany and Austria, and he refused. See our videos on FDR. The Democrats also supported labor unions, which the
Yeah, and also, like, the New Deal didn't really do much to fix the Great Depression as much as it did give the government a way to kind of put, like, really tough band-aids over top of it. And it centralized a shitload of, which was at once public power, into the government. It was a massive shift of power from the people to the government. We can go through that entire thing, by the way, if you want, but we'll finish this up first.
Republicans in general saw as a communist attempt to control effective business practices.
Yeah.
The Northern Democrats tended to be supportive of civil rights for blacks to gain their support away from the Republican Party, which was business friendly and pushing for limited government involvement. But this divided the Democrats. Southern Democrats remained fiercely segregationist, while Northern Democrats grew more supportive of civil rights, causing growing tension within the party. The 1950s and 60s pressure mounted. Northern Democrats supported civil rights legislation to secure black votes, while Southern Democrats resisted fiercely, trying to block blacks from voting.
Now, and this is not me justifying. Yeah. I was talking about the New Deal in the second part. Here, hold on. Let me pull it up just so I have historical reference. Pretty sure it was Herbert Hoover. It might have been someone before him. Yeah, right here. Okay. During his presidency from 1929 to 1933, which was before, Herbert Hoover lost the allegiance of many black voters to his lily-white political strategy and devastating impact of the Great Depression on African Americans. This marked the beginning of a historic shift. Hold on. Where was... It may not have been Herbert Hoover then. What natural disaster lost Republicans the black vote? No. It wasn't Katrina. I mean, that probably really didn't fucking help, but... Not gonna flood. There was some storm that happened, and it was like national. What up, Doomerang? Good to see you, man. Is this it? Is this it? I read a whole fucking article on it, man. Early 1900s natural disaster that affected the black community. Okay, who was president? Wait, was it the Great Mississippi Flood? I think this is what it was. Okay, hold on. Who was president in 1927? Who was president in 1927? Calvin Coolidge. That's who it was. Okay, it wasn't Herbert Hoover. It was Calvin Coolidge. All right. Calvin Coolidge. Great Mississippi Flood. Black vote. No, you're good. You're good. You're good. It's not that big of a deal, bro. Hope y'all are doing okay today, by the way. Yes. Okay. This is what I was talking about. All right. So, Calvin Coolidge's restrained response from the Great Mississippi Flood of 1927, along with the brutal treatment of black flood victims under the direction of his Secretary of Commerce, Herbert Hoover, fueled a historic shift of African American voters away from the Republican Party. This event was a major turning point in the realignment of the black vote toward the Democratic Party, which began when Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal policies. This is what I was talking about. So, this was the first big shift away from the Republican Party with the black vote, right? This is exactly what I was talking about. I don't know why I had to dig so much into this, but it is what it is, right? So, just so we're on par, this is what I was talking about. Sorry, it wasn't that Herbert Hoover was president. He was in charge of all of this under Calvin Coolidge, and then he ran for president immediately afterward. What up, Robert Whaley? Good to see you, my man. Welcome in, dude. Welcome in. We're just going through some history right now. Scott Hodfett, hail, brother. Good to see you, my man. Welcome, welcome. All right. But yeah, so just so you understand, Creed, this is what I was speaking about. This was the first massive shift of the black vote away from Republicans. Yeah. Yeah. So, like, the New Deal had a big thing to do with that, and it came basically immediately afterwards. What up, James? Good to see you, man. Welcome in, bro. Welcome in. The New Deal had a lot to do with that, but that was piggybacking off of everything that had just happened a few years earlier, right? So, anyway, let's get back into the video. But yeah, so this is what I was talking about. I didn't know the exact names and years. I knew it was around that general time. But, what up, Dusty? Good to see you, man. Welcome in, bro. I knew it was around that general time. I didn't necessarily know exactly who was president, though. So I was wrong saying it was Herbert Hoover who did it as president. Now, obviously, he was the one that was, like, in charge during that. In charge to some degree during that time, but he wasn't actually president. All right.
Senators like Strom Thurmond and Robert Byrd, the latter a former KKK member, and see our video on him, were both Democrats who led the charge against civil rights from within the Democratic Party. The other major opponent to civil and voting rights for blacks in the South was Texas Senator Lyndon Baines Johnson.
Funny enough, because he signed the Civil Rights Act. You know what I mean? Funny how quickly people shift on their core fundamentals.
The future president, who along with Democrats...
People who are vehemently against black people voting then come to champion things like the Civil Rights Act. And then we see the Greater Nations policies that came right after that. Because, see, it wasn't the Civil Rights Act. That's one thing with but that, like, I break with Charlie Kirk on. Charlie Kirk says it was the Civil Rights Act that fucked the black community. It was not. It was the Greater Nations policies. Because that was, again, another massive packing of public power into the federal government. That's when they started getting people basically hooked on government money. That was the whole goal of all that shit. So when you really look at it, like, take a step back and look at the entire picture of everything, you'll see these people who don't want these folks to vote, they don't want them to have any political power at all. They take a step back and they go, well, instead of not letting them vote, let's completely, like, kneecap their independence so they will always vote for us. That's why when I say politics is all a game, it has nothing to do with values. It has nothing to do with the way you think. Anybody who thinks that politicians run on the basis of values, you're being controlled. No politician runs on the basis of values. None. Maybe they did at one point, but they sure as fuck don't anymore. That's just a fact.
Democratic Senator Robert C. Byrd of West Virginia fought tooth and nail to keep blacks from receiving legal recourse under the Constitution. Senator Byrd himself had, in the early 1940s, recruited about 150 of his friends and relatives and other associates to create a new chapter of the Ku Klux Klan in Sophia, West Virginia. He later changed his political position on civil rights as well, but remained a Democrat. Despite his long history of being previously opposed to the various civil rights bills, LBJ signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, largely due to political pressure and the rise of figures like Republican Barry Goldwater.
And ever since then, now we have entire seats in our House that are dedicated to one ethnic group. And people want to bitch about how the Constitution is being threatened and all these things are happening. No. We haven't acted constitutionally in this country for about fucking 60 years now. So spare me this fucking fear-mongering bullshit, okay?
Who opposed federal overreach and supported racial equality. This alienated many white Southern Democrats, also known as Dixiecrats, who had historically opposed integration and supported segregation. This was when the Republican Party began to appeal to Southern Democrats who wanted limited government in their lives, greater states' rights, and...
See, this, so like down here, right, it says, in 1957, Strom Thurmond set a record for the longest Senate speech at 24 hours and 18 minutes in length in opposition to the Civil Rights Act of 1957. This was surpassed by Cory Booker's speech in April 2025 at 25 hours and 5 minutes. And what happened? Nothing. This was all just a big fucking virtue signal. When you hold up proceedings by doing shit like this, you're just delaying the process. And you're getting paid the whole time. Go fuck yourself.
The social conservative platform of Republicans began to appeal to many Southerners who were drifting away from the racial mindset. Goldwater's posture and perceived hardline stance against communism was in alignment with conservatives, but it was also used against him, a position which LBJ initially claimed publicly to be opposed to, despite his later creating the Gulf of Tonkin incident as a ruse to get legislation passed to send American combat troops to South Vietnam.
And it was all a fucking lie. It was all a lie. We know that now. They sent children to die for a war we didn't have anything to do with. We had no involvement. They've been doing this shit for fucking decades, dude. Probably not, Doomer. I'll be honest. I'm not a Confederate. I'm not. I I understand, you know, all those different concepts and everything, but I'm not a Confederate. You know, a massive piece of all that was they wanted, like, once the Confederacy dropped from the Union, they realized that they required a lot of Northern money to keep their schools open and everything. So while they were like a Confederate group of states that were all, you know, their own individual entity, they were still reliant upon other states for, you know, schooling and public programs and things like that, you know. The issue we're in now is there's so much entrenched dependency upon like a greater system that I don't think we could ever even get back to something like that, you know. Like there can be more there can be more political power given to individual states, but not economic power, right? Like Alabama, we don't have fuck all for exports. It just is what it is. If Alabama was told to stand on its own, or any kind of like federal funding was cut from Alabama, it's yeah, Never Lucky. What's up, dude? Nah, sorry, bro. It wasn't consciously doing it without you, I promise. But like, you know, just for instance, if Alabama had its federal funding cut, uh, bro, people would go fucking buck wild. I promise you. Like, that's the whole reason, you know, we call her Meemaw, Kay Ivey, she's our governor. That's the whole reason that she went along with the COVID bullshit. Because the Biden administration was threatening to cut states' federal funding if they didn't go along with all that, right? So she went along with that because if they cut federal funding to Alabama, dude, it would, like, people would literally be going fucking crazy. Like there are entire like townships in Alabama that are nothing but like a bunch of low income people that live off of government benefits. I'll just leave it at that. And you take that away from them, bro. Ooh, boy. You know, people would be fucking eating each other.
Due to the creation of welfare and other entitlements by the Johnson administration in order to buy the black vote through generational patronage, Democrats had a durable base among minorities, urban voters, and socially liberal intellectuals. Also, Southern Democrats were anti-legal immigration into their states, while the Northern Democrats promoted legal immigration. Also, Southern Protestants were typically more religious and church-going, while the Northern, East, and West Coast
1912. And Jacob Astor was on there, and he voted against the Federal Reserve Act, and he died. How many times has an elite not been saved from a disaster before everyone else? Isn't that fucking interesting? Because the Federal Reserve Act failed in 1911. A year later, the Titanic goes out, sinks. One of the main people who was like standing against it dies. And then the next year it passes. Give me a fucking break.
Democrats began to walk away from
religion and yeah, I know about it, dude. Yeah,
platforms, which were deemed by Southern
100%, absolutely, James. Yeah, I agree.
Conservatives as anti-American. This all triggered a backlash, and Johnson famously said, "We have lost the South for a generation, but we have the black vote for the next 200 years." This was the moment when many Southern white voters, alienated by civil rights policies and federal welfare expansion, began to shift toward the Republican Party, not because the GOP embraced racism, but because it promoted limited government, states' rights, and traditional family values.
Mm-hmm.
Another factor aiding in the shift was the Vietnam War, which also divided the country along political lines, and LBJ took the greatest criticism from his own party as a result. Democrats were heavily divided on Vietnam as well. The majority of politically liberal Democrats opposed their own Democrat President Johnson regarding U.S. involvement, while more conservative Democrats and Republicans either took a neutral or pro-American involvement in fighting communism. In 1968, Richard M. Nixon ran on the presidential GOP ticket.
He did, yeah. And on top of that, Doom, He also fought to get Israel's nuclear disarmament. Isn't that funny? Click, click, boom.
And he courted disaffected Southern whites using code words like law and order, states' rights, and opposition to forced busing, while still maintaining the GOP support for black rights, which still divided Democrats. This opened the door for Republicans, notably Richard Nixon and later Ronald Reagan, who used what has become known as the Southern Strategy to gain support in the South by appealing to concerns about federal overreach against states' rights and cultural change. Richard Nixon's Southern Strategy emphasized law and order and opposition to federal busing policies, which was a big deal to Democrats, appeals that resonated with voters frustrated by cultural and political upheaval. Nixon had campaigned on getting out of Vietnam, which satisfied many of both parties' voters and also added Southern whites to Republican rolls. Nixon also ended the Democrat-created Tuskegee syphilis experiment program created by Democrats, among other legislation.
The only thing he gets a bad rap for is Watergate. That's it. It was one big scandal. That's all. It's the only thing he gets a bad rap for.
And see our video on Nixon. Ronald Reagan later unified these groups into a larger conservative coalition, business leaders, evangelicals, and working class whites, under the banner of small government and anti-socialist policies. Democrats became the party of urban centers, progressives, minorities, and coastal elites. They eventually abandoned the Ku Klux Klan, which they had created after the Civil War and supported for a century because the hate group had become too toxic. Republicans attracted religious conservatives, rural voters, small business owners, and working class traditionalists, especially in the South and Midwest, as progressive Democrats, especially in the North, turned away from supporting religion, which conservatives found appalling. Yes, it is true that some Democrat figures switched parties, like Strom Thurmond of South Carolina, but the idea that the GOP adopted the racist legacy of the Democratic South is misleading and patently false. The Ku Klux Klan, for instance, was never embraced by the GOP. In fact, the Reagan administration helped dismantle it legally and financially, effectively destroying it.
They won't tell you that. They won't let people know about that.
Over the years, Democrats embraced more progressive positions on gun control, gender identity, immigration, and race. They allied with activist groups like Black Lives Matter, Antifa, and others whose critics argued furthered social and political division and supported wanton violence. Meanwhile, many centrist and conservative Democrats, especially in the South, left the party altogether, becoming Republicans or independents. This wasn't a swap, it was an evolution. In essence,
hey, Corey, what up, dude?
Who have revised their history to remove the stains of slavery, Jim Crow, and violence against blacks have lost control. Democrats love to identify Republicans as being the party of racist and anti-middle class workers. They claim that Republicans adopted all the evils of the old Democrats while never acknowledging the fact that the Democrats were the progenitors of the evil they now claim to oppose. So let's set the record straight. The Republican Party did not become the party of racism. The Democratic Party didn't suddenly erase its legacy of slavery, segregation, opposition to civil rights, lynching, and violence. The great lie that was created and still pushed by Democrats is that the Great Switch included the Republicans adopting a racist and domestic terror policy and embracing groups such as the Ku Klux Klan, which never happened. In fact, it was under Reagan that the Klan was finally destroyed. However, ultra-right nationalist groups that arose have traditionally been Republican in their voting habits since the late 1970s, while ultra-left domestic terror groups remained entrenched within the Democrat Party, replacing the far-right Democrats created and supported KKK. In fact, the modern Democrats today still support...
What up, Brandon? Good to see you, man. Welcome in, bro. Glad you're here, dude. Glad you're here.
Well, not exactly. There was no official swap of platforms or party names. Instead, there was a gradual realignment of coalitions. The Republican base grew in the South and included all these previous groups because they were socially conservative working class Americans, and recently many Democrats who abandoned their party and registered as Republicans or independents actually voted for Donald Trump. The Reagan Revolution in the 1980s brought together business interests and everyone else who felt disenfranchised by Democrat politics, and they united under the GOP brand using an anti-liberal, anti-socialist states' rights message and limited government platform. This shift was a gradual realignment of voters' ideologies and regional priorities, not a clean
Damie, what up,
The
dude? Good to see you,
Democrat
man.
platform wanted
Welcome
to
in.
abolish the Second Amendment. That was a large part of the political shift in politics. Over time, Democrats became more aligned with the urban minority and progressive voter in major cities on the East and West Coast and in large northern and even some southern cities, while the Republicans have attracted and contained and retained rural, religious, and conservative voters, particularly in the South and Midwest. More recent Democrat-supported criminal entities, such as Black Lives Matter and Antifa, and see our video on BLM, and even their left-wing socialist predecessors, like the Weather Underground terrorists, and also see our video on them, remained loyal to and were supported by the Democrats, and still are to this day. These actions drove conservative Democrats even further away from the party, and further divided Democrats and forced others to change affiliation. The argument had been that the parties literally swapped the names and positions, but the parties evolved gradually, and their ideological coalition shifted, and Democrat methods remained pretty much the same. Today's political map reflects decades of migration, economic change.
Oh, that was glorious, wasn't it, boys?
Not a simple party flip. African American voters, who largely supported the GOP after the Civil War, began overwhelmingly voting Democrat after the 1960s due to the laws passed by LBJ and the black support regarding both parties still favor the Democrats, but in far less numbers today. It's not about who changed names. It's about who showed up and what they stood for. People generally vote with their pocketbooks, and Democrat policies have always increased taxes, reduced employment opportunities, increased interest and mortgage rates, increased nonsensical spending at home and abroad, as well as increased the general cost of living. But perhaps the greatest driving force sending former Democrats to the middle or right were the Biden administration's policies on taxpayers funding millions of illegal immigrants, importing and increasing violent crime, and the liberal Democrat supporting and George Soros funded mainstream media being caught in thousands of lies, supporting Democratic criminal activities, and creating conspiracies against conservatives. And see our video on George Soros. So, to set the record straight, the two parties didn't switch names or trade platforms. What changed were their coalitions, the kinds of voters they attracted, and the cultural issues they championed. So yes, there was a switch of sorts, but it was simply a matter of those citizens with a socially and fiscally conservative mindset drifting more to the political right to whom they were aligned, and today's socialist liberal tax and spend collective remaining on the left.
Boys, that pendulum hasn't stopped swinging back, by the way. No matter how much left-wing cope you hear out there, no matter how many people you think are going to be, by the way, Forgotten History, definitely give them a check, dude. That was a great video. There's some stuff that he left out, right? But at the end of the day, he got the general consensus. Here's my thing. So when we're talking about Republicans versus Democrats, if you want to see the easiest signifier that there was never a switch, look at the core fundamentals of how these two parties write their legislation, like their core philosophy, right? So you look at the Democrats in the early 1900s, let's say 1910, 1920, right? Their core philosophy was race-based collectivist legislation. That's Jim Crow laws, segregation, all that. The Republican Party, and we can even go back as far as like 1865, was individualized. Because, when the Emancipation Proclamation was written, it didn't say black people can no longer be slaves. The Emancipation Proclamation said no one can be a slave. That's individualist. That means no matter what your skin color, no matter what you identify as, no matter how much of a you are, you're going to be treated the exact same. The rules do not apply to you differently, right? With the Democrats of today, it is race-based collectivist legislation. If you identify a certain way, if your skin is a certain color, if, you're if you're a dude and like to suck dick, or a woman and want to eat pussy, right? Like, it is the exact same thing in the opposite, where now their collectivist race-based legislation just works in favor of those people instead of against them. But it's still race-based collectivist legislation. And the Republican Party is still individualist. There are no laws written that specifically benefit white people. And see, and whenever you argue with some fucking left-wing nut job about this, they're all going to tell you the same shit. They're going to say, well, they just individually affect those people. Well, so why, if we are in a system where I write individualist legislation and it affects people separately, what's the core reason behind that? You can only give me two logical conclusions to that question. One is there were systems put in place previously that disproportionately affected those folks. And then we know that race-based collectivist race-based collectivist legislation disproportionately affects different people in different ways. That's like its core fundamental, right? Or they are inferior. You can only come to two logical conclusions to that. And personally, I don't subscribe to the idea that black people are inferior. So what that means is there were systems set in place by people who specifically made race-based collectivist legislation that affected people disproportionately to others. So now when you put individualist legislation out there, those people are going to get fucked because they're already behind the ball. So again, this is a problem the government made and a problem the government tries to fix. But the way they push it now is it's all the racists today. It's not institutionalized racism, or what's the term they use? Whatever. I don't follow along with their bullshit long enough. These are the cascading effects of terrible get rid of no-fault divorces and clean out corruption in the family courts. Never should a court of law get federal money for actions taken against certain people based. We're witnessing the cascading effects of terrible legislation that was written 100 years ago. Over the past 100 years. That's what they're experiencing now, right? This is not institutional racism or whatever the word they use. That's not systemic. There you go. Thank you very much, Robert. It's not systemic racism. This is the blowback you get from bad legislation. When you centralize people's dependency to the government, and then the government tries to make itself smaller, those people that you made dependent upon the government are going to suffer. That was the Greater Nations policies. That was the New Deal. Take a step back, look at the big picture, right? If you want to entrench a group of voters, you make them completely fucking dependent upon you. Because when that apparatus that you control when you write that legislation starts to become less powerful, those people will suffer and they will advocate for you every single time. That's how it works. All right, anyway. Even Moist Critical has joined the Great Noticing, boys. It's happening. It is happening, gentlemen. Check this out.
I know where you're going with it. You're going to say it's all controlled by the Zionists, right?
Exactly, Robert Whaley. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. EBT, SNAP, welfare, all that bullshit.
Did you think that's wrong?
I do think it's wrong, yeah.
Why is that wrong?
Because I don't think there is a secret Zionist
not
agenda
secret.
that controls the entire world.
It's actually not secret at all. They boast about it.
And you're the one that can see between the lines. You're onto them.
No, it's something that they openly talk about. You know, AIPAC, the biggest lobby in America, 98% of their endorsed politicians win elections. They put that on their website. They talk about it all the time. Zionists, they openly talk about how they control. It's not a secret.
Yeah.
I also just saw today fucking Benjamin Netanyahu just openly stating in front of the whole world his plans on brainwashing because so many people are turning on Israel.
Money of NGOs, vast. Money of governments, vaster. Okay? We have to fight back. How do we fight back? Our influencers.
Just in case you forgot, Israel literally pays influencers to suck their wiener and just be like these loyal little lapdogs to always just lap up whatever Netanyahu's gooch is sweating out.
And I mean, this dude is infinitely Trump deranged, okay? This guy is 100% unequivocally one of the most Trump deranged lunatics I've ever seen that's gotten as a platform as massive as him, okay? Like, Charlie is huge. Now, I like Charlie, right? I like his content. I think he should keep his fucking, like, little dipshit self out of politics. But I really like his content. I've been watching him for a long time. But fuck, is he Trump deranged, dude? It's crazy.
Like, it's unbelievable. And he's just being, like, super open about it. Like, he is just saying that in front of people's faces, and nobody seems to care.
Yeah! Welcome to the club, dog! We have cookies. Come take a seat, Charlie. You are one step closer, my friend. Join us. We welcome you with open arms. That's the thing, right? So, I've noticed this. If you say bad shit about Democrats for long enough, and then, God forbid, you change your mind, which doesn't happen, but they are the kind of people that will hold the things that you said against you for the rest of your fucking life. You went against the mob. You will never, ever be in our club. But folks like us, the second you start to realize and wake up, hey man, welcome. It was only a matter of time. Don't ever forget that.
We're going to have to
We are not the fucking same as them.
use the tools of battle. And the most important ones are the social media. And the most important purchase that is going on right now is TikTok. TikTok, number one. And I hope it goes through because it can be consequential. And the other one, what's the other one that's most important? X. That's very good.
Spoiler warning for those without thinking caps on. Censorship. He's talking about censorship. Damn to free speech. Benjamin Netanyahu's got other ideas. It's something he's talked about plenty in the past. He's not exactly shy with it. He's very loose.
And by the way, just so we're all very clear, right? My channel, there, at any fucking point, okay? Just so we're all on the same page. At any fucking, this is September, right? At any fucking point, this channel can go down. At any point. I may have to go over to Rumble. That's what's going to happen eventually. I'm soaking up what I have here on YouTube for right now. That's it. And I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing because of that. Fuck that. Fuck Google. Fuck YouTube. Fuck Israel. That's it. Like I already said, if Israel wanted to pay me money to talk shit about them as controlled opposition, I would take it because I wouldn't have to change a single thing I say. But I can promise y'all one thing, which I don't think it'll happen. If I ever get offered money from Israel to shill for them, it will never fucking happen. Ever. Let's get back to it.
Loosey-goosey with the censorship topic, and he's talking about it again. He recognizes how everyone sharing videos and information about the atrocities and all the slaughter of the Palestinians at the hands of the IDF is making people turn on Israel. So now genocidal freak is going up to Elon Musk. Oh, Mr. Musk, can we do something about like all these pesky voices sharing all of this? It's censorship. Super weird, by the way, how a foreign nation seems to have so much pull over things happening in our homeland. Why can Netanyahu come out with his full ass on display talking about like how algorithms on the platforms...
Welcome to the table, Charlie. We're glad to have you. Welcome to the table. It's happening, boys. It's happening.
Here need to cater to him, and also he should be talking to Elon about Twitter so they can do something together in regards to like the people not liking Israel anymore and what they're having access to. Why is that? Like, that shouldn't be allowed, right? Like, what the fuck? This guy gets to come in and like completely wash our fucking freedom of speech in order to...
By the way, Charlie Moist Critical, he's a Tampa boy, dude. What's up, bro? What's up? Did you see Bibi comment about Israel being an independent country, and if they decide to annex Gaza, then Trump can't stop him? And Vance comment when asked about it. No, I did not. We can look into that.
Fit his censorship agenda? Cool. How about no, Goober? Like, come on. This should be an outrage to everybody.
Right. Welcome to the table, Charlie. We're glad to have you. Take a seat. We have cookies. All right. So anyway, that's the good news. I got a little more coming up here. And this is just a piggyback off of what I was talking about in the very beginning. So when we were talking about how the government, I don't even want to say like specifically the Democrat Party, it's the government in as a whole, but we'll just say the government as a whole. What's up, Rude? Good to see you, man. Welcome in, bro. Welcome in. How we went over how the Greater Nations policies and the New Deal, the main focus was to centralize. Rude, there's always been cookies, man. You've always been welcome here to share in the chocolate chip. You know what I mean? But the government has utilized the New Deal and the Greater Nations policies to entrench people, to kneecap people's independence by shelling government benefits out to them. And all that does is falsely stimulate the economy with tax money that other people are paying into it. And it's a vicious cycle. Because you have to understand, like, people operate under the mindset, a very simple principle: what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So if you have people who grow up and they are like babied or not, motivated by people who raise them or whatever, and these people find out there's a way that they can live. What up, Nukes? It's good to see you, man. I'm still kind of sick, but and these people find out that there's a way that they can live and just barely get by, all on someone else's dime, they will do it. It has nothing to do with your skin color. Nothing at all. So, over the last 70, 80 years, they've been entrenching people into this idea that you don't need to go to work, and you can just live off of government benefits. And it's not just black people, by the way. I'm white trailer trash, dude. My family grew up on that. Oh, rude. Yeah. I'm not even. I wasn't mad, bro. I thought you nailed it, honestly. And like when you gave me that score, I was even thinking, like that was at a time when I really wasn't streaming a lot either. So if I would have been focusing on streaming more, my channel would have grown more. You know what I mean? Because I think over the last like 2 weeks, I think I've gained 20 some subs, something like that. But yeah, I'm just glad my homie stuck up for me, bro. You fought for me, dude. I appreciate that, man. I ain't even mad, bro. That's good shit, dude. That's good shit. But no, so we have a government that has entrenched its power through kneecapping the independence of people in the country. Not necessarily because that's the thing, right? Like the systems that we have for these things, it's no secret. It's widely known and accepted that large swaths of people abuse the system. They abuse it so they can just sit at home and they don't have to go out and work, right? Like this isn't news. This isn't like a well-kept secret or anything. Like this is openly accepted by everybody. When you say that to someone who's like pro-welfare state, they're going to say, yeah, there's people who abuse the system. There's going to be people who abuse the system, right? And that's not good. Like, and it's not a small percentage either. Like these systems that we have are very easily manipulated. But when you have an entire population of people that are entrenched under this dependence upon the government, and then the government tries to downsize, those people who have not been given the motivation to go out and do something for themselves are going to suffer every single time.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is Carmine Sabia for Explain America, and there is finally a mutiny against Charles Schumer in the Democrat Party. Before we get started, please make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Those little things really help us out, and they help our channel continue to grow. Pressure is starting to mount on Democrat senators who are keeping the government shut down.
I like you too, James. You're good people, man. Thanks for being here, bro. I appreciate it.
Pressure is starting to mount on Schumer, who is keeping the government shut down. And people realize now that it's not Trump and the Republicans responsible for this. It's just simply not. It is the Democrat Party responsible for this. And they know it. And now, at least one senator, the one senator along with Angus King, who keeps voting to reopen the government, Senator John Fetterman, is advising his party.
I would have never fucking thought that the Strokey was going to be the most based, dude. That's crazy to me. It's insane. I would have never guessed. Ever. That's so wild to me. Because it's such a simple concept, right? Like the way this is being portrayed is, no, it's the Republicans that don't want it. Okay, so why aren't Democrats voting for it? Well, it's because of healthcare. Okay, so them not voting to pass this is going to fuck a bunch of people over. How is it going to fuck people over if they don't vote to pass this continuing resolution? That's the question. If they do vote to pass it, how do people get fucked over? Because they're getting fucked over by them not voting to pass it. Seriously. It's wild to me, right? Like, they cannot get around that concept. You can't even argue against it. There's nothing in the continuing resolution that's going to cut any kind of benefits or anything. So if you want people to get fed and get paid and get their benefits or whatever, vote to pass this shit and then bring legislation to Congress to get what you want. Darth Grumpy, what up, man? Good to see you. Bring your legislation that you want to see passed to Congress and have them pass it instead of holding. I mean, by not voting for it, you're literally holding people back from getting any kind of benefits. That's the question that people need to start asking. How is voting for this and voting for the government to reopen going to fuck people over? Because all they're saying is, well, us not voting for it isn't going to fuck people over. But we're obviously, we're about to see on November 1st, dude, like 40 million people are going to lose their benefits. This is not a W for the Democrat Party.
His constituents, his colleagues, to vote against Schumer, to vote to put country over party and vote
Ag, what's going on, dude? Welcome in, bro. Good to see you. Good to see you.
to reopen this government and get these federal workers paid, get our military paid. There are men and women who work every day for the government right now and are not getting paid. There are men and women who are out of work and not getting paid through no fault of their own. There are hungry people who need SNAP to survive, and they're not going to get it. What the hell do you think is going to happen when people are starving? They're going to turn to crime. What would you do to feed your family? Your kids looking at you and they're hungry, and there's nothing else you can do. That's what the Democrats are going to force here. I want you to watch this and let me know what you think in the comments.
Makers taking pay during the government shutdown. Do you think there should be a bill that prevents that from happening?
I mean, I'm primarily concerned about 2 million Pennsylvanians rely on SNAP to feed themselves and their families, and that's going to stop. And I'm also concerned about our military not paid. And we're all protected by members of the Capitol Police, and they're not getting paid. I'm always going to vote to support those things. I'm a guy that's a country over party. So those are my concern. Now, two things must be true: that, keep our government open and make sure people can count on SNAP and people are paid. And then we can have the conversations about extending those tax credits. And then I do believe, Leader Thune is an honorable guy, and I do believe we could have a meaningful, sincere conversation and negotiate these things. Let's open up the government and let's figure out a way forward. Because when you shout down our government, America loses.
The longer this goes on, though, do you think lawmakers should be accepting pay while this is going on? The shutdown.
That's a personal choice. But as this continues to...
Yeah, Creedog, and you already know what Gavin Newsom's going to say about that. Republicans are stripping your benefits. It's like, no, they're not. Just vote to open this shit back up. So that way, you can bring all of your... If it's not about illegals' health care, why does it have to happen right this second? Any changes to the continuing resolution, why do they have to be made right fucking now? Because there have been no changes. The only changes that have been made to the continuing resolution was an adjustment for inflation. That's it. So please explain to me why it is so fucking important to make changes to it right this second. Why can't it wait 2 weeks? How would voting to pass the continuing resolution fuck people over now? These are the questions that need to be asked over and over and over and over and over again because they don't have answers to them. Oh, you're good, Ad. Good to see you, man. Good to see you, bro. Oh, you're all good, man. I'm hanging in there. I'm still fucking sick. I'm going to be streaming quite a bit today and tomorrow, so you guys will get your weekly dose of me 3 times the weekly dose. Probably 600% of your daily recommended. You know what I mean? Anyway, so But that's the question that needs to be asked, right? The question that needs to be asked is, how is it fucking people over to open the government? There's no changes in the resolution. I appreciate it, Ag. Thank you, man. Oh, dude, Nuxus. I've been sick since Thursday. I slept all fucking day Thursday. What up, Amagad? Welcome in, bro. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Friday, I slept all day Thursday. I rested for the most part on Friday. I don't think I streamed on Friday. No. I just streamed yesterday. And I'm feeling better. But man, I got a fuckload of rest, dude. I slept basically all day on Thursday. And I slept a bunch on Friday too. So I'm just kind of like, coasting right now. But there is no answer to the question, how is passing the continuing resolution fucking anybody over in the country? There is no answer to that question. And that's the question that gets avoided. And the only thing they'll say is, well, we need changes to healthcare. Okay, so open up the government. Why does it have to happen right this second? To get the changes to healthcare right this second, you're willing to let people go without their benefits. Please explain how that's even logically consistent with the way you believe. It isn't. That's the question that needs to be asked over and over and over again. That's the thing with like all of these big like political events and stuff that happen. All you need to do is find the right questions to ask. You don't even really need to fight them. You just need to get them to answer a couple questions, and everything falls apart. That's why they were censoring people for the past 5 years. That's why they were calling people fascist and Nazis if you asked these kinds of questions. Because those questions completely destroy everything that they believe in. It's very, very, very fucking simple.
As it continues, that you have folks like Capitol Police and the military and other people aren't going to get paid. And now there's mortgages. They have to put food on their table. So I mean, like, this is crazy. It's like this. We have to stop this. I mean, we need to put country first.
Right, Nusis, exactly. They created this dependency. They kneecapped the independence of a bunch of people in the United States. And now they're weaponizing it against all of them. Because this doesn't fuck people like me over. I don't get government benefits. Anyone in the country who isn't on government benefits, this does not affect any of them. Unless you're hired by the government, which you can call that a government benefit. But that's besides the point. This affects people who are completely dependent upon the government and no one else. So they are putting their own voting base up on a firing range, stepping off, looking at the Republican Party and going, okay, shoot. That's basically what they're doing. Actually, let me rephrase that. They're putting them in front of the targets. Oh, Darth, yeah, 100%, dude, 100%. Yeah, I mean that. Like, I'm pretty sure the Voting Rights Act is getting repealed. I'm pretty sure, dude. Like, the second that happens, shit's gonna change big time in this country. And it's the same fucking game they always play, right? Where it's got to have this like emotionally like empathy weaponizing name, the Voting Rights Act. All it fucking does is let people gerrymander based on race and ethnicity. That's all it does. It doesn't give voting rights to anybody. The second that's gone, I mean, the Democrats are going to need a new party. Like, someone's going to have to, like, they're going to have to restructure. Because everything that they do, all of their pandering, is going to go away overnight. they're not going to be able to pander to racial groups anymore. All right, Scott. Hey, dude. Thanks for jumping in. I appreciate you, man. Always good to see you in chat, dude. But I mean, there's not going to be a Democrat Party anymore. That's gone. Right, exactly, Darth. Yeah. Yeah. And in the very same case, right? Like I'm not when I talk about people being disabled and being dependent upon the government, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this, and this is what I said before. It's this idea that there are people who are able-bodied and can work, and they can just skate by on fucking tax money instead of actually going out and like producing something. Fuck. You know what I mean? Like those are two completely different things. But again, this hurts you, right? All of this hurts you. Them voting to pass the continuing resolution, this is like such a fucking weird hill to die on. And it's such an an optic L. I just don't understand why they would pull the pin on that hand grenade and then hold it to their chest. Like, it's insane, dude. Because this is just going to fuck over a ton of people. And I have another video on here that we're going to go over, and we're going to see how this has affected Trump's approval rating. As per CNN.
This is our core responsibility. It's very dismaying, and I think it's the 13th or 14th time I just voted to open our government up, and I think I was one of only 2 Democrats.
All right, that's it for that one. All right, we're going to Morsi, right? This is Explain America. I like this guy's channel. It seems like he's done well for himself. He's got over 500,000 subs. Please go check him out. Explain America. He seems like a pretty level-headed guy. You can look at things, you know. Yeah, we are witnessing the demise of the Democrat Party, everybody. Just to let you know. Because people are starting to realize, these people don't actually give a fuck about any of us. And it's beautiful. Because they don't. Fuck them. Seriously. All right, we're going to Morsi. Just going to follow along with this, the whole government shutdown thing. We're going to move away from this topic. I got some stuff about Portland. I got some stuff about shit going on in other countries right now. So we're going to get into all that. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and watch this.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is officially day number 26 of the ongoing government shutdown. And I'll tell you what, things just took a pretty big turn for the worse for the Democrats. You see, what might come as a surprise to some of you, there are...
Hey, that's Sam's Club, baby! I love me some Sam's Club now.
Actually right around 40 million Americans in this country that receive federally funded food assistance called SNAP every single month. Now, because of this ongoing government shutdown, which has been entirely manufactured by Chuck Schumer and the Democrats, by the way, all of that federal food assistance is about to go bye-bye come November 1st. So what that means is that unless this Democrat-manufactured government shutdown comes to an end pretty much immediately, we're going to see around 40 million Americans have their food assistance entirely cut off. And oh yeah, something worth mentioning real quick here, around 79% of those federal food assistance recipients are Democrats. So what that means is that almost 32 million Democrat voters are about to lose their federally funded food assistance, all because Chuck Schumer and the Democrat establishment decided to manufacture a completely unnecessary government shutdown.
Yep.
So yeah, like I said, this entire situation is pretty much doomsday for the progressive left. But you know what? For some more...
They're dying on a hill of shit. That's what's happening.
Information on this, take a listen to what White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt had to say just the other day.
The unnecessary pain, unfortunately, does not end there. Funding for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program known as SNAP which provides food benefits to low-income families, is beginning to lapse this week in some states. If Democrats continue to hold Americans hostage, there will not be enough funds to provide SNAP benefits for more than 40 million Americans on November 1st. That is next week. Democrats are solely responsible for all of this unnecessary pain. Why are they doing it? To give taxpayer-funded healthcare benefits to illegal aliens, some of whom are violent criminals.
And so, as you all know, not only is she absolutely right, but in fact, things are actually even worse than that. Unfortunately for the Democrats, politically moderate Americans across the country have been forced to come to the realization that the Democrat Party has chosen to support illegal aliens instead of actual Americans. And if you don't believe me, take a listen to what CNN recently had to say about all of this. Folks, even they can't deny reality anymore.
In 2018/2019, Donald Trump's net approval rating was already falling. The shutdown was eating into his popular support. It was down 3 points already at this particular point and would fall considerably more. It was very much on the decline. You come over to this side of the screen, this shutdown hasn't eaten into Donald Trump's support at all. His net approval rating is actually up a point in terms of his popular support. So the bottom line is this. The first shutdown during Trump's first term, 2018-2019, was hurting Donald Trump. This one is not hurting him at all. There's no real reason Donald Trump might say, at least when it comes to popular support, I want to get out of this shutdown.
Okay, so I do want to say this, right? I will say that decline in his approval rating back then was purely his fault. So that's about the percentage of people that will, when they take polls, they're going to do it specifically off of optics, right? And if anyone remembers when they went through the whole government shutdown thing, there's that real famous clip where he was sitting with Chuck Schumer and I think it was Nancy Pelosi at the time, and he was like, "I will shut down the government. That's it. I'll give you that. I will shut down the government." So with him saying that, he fucking owned that government shutdown. He's not saying that shit this time. Like, this is something that's very... You just have to point these things out when it comes to politics. All of this shit is a game. It's all optics, okay? All of this is. Very small things that you say will implant themselves into people's minds, and they will think a certain way based off of these things you say, right? That's why people repeat themselves over and over again. Like, Trump does the same thing with Biden. He is the most terrible president in the history of the country, and blah, blah, blah. It's the worst administration. They say it over and over and over again. It plants that thing. Same thing with the Democrats. All Republicans are fascists. Trump is a dictator. He's a king. Yada, yada, yada. They say it over and over and over and over and over again, right? Now, unfortunately for them, like, they're losing the traction that those statements actually hold, but it's the same basic concept, right? Now, he didn't ever own this shutdown. And no one's ever... I don't know anybody calling it the Trump shutdown this time. I don't think they necessarily can, because this is something that's happening within Congress, you know? So, especially when there's Democrats crossing the picket line, and that's the thing with them, bro, is like, if you part with them on anything, look at what happened to Kristen Sinema. Look at what happened to Joe Manchin, right? The second you cross the picket line from these fucking lunatics, you're a scab. You're done. That's it. It's over. But they've lost everybody. They lost the unions, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. What about the question of blame?
Yeah, okay, what about the question of blame? Okay, you see Donald Trump's net approval rating was down 2018 to 2019. You talk about 2025 as net approval rating is up. It comes down to the blame game, a game I loved to play when I was younger. Blame Trump for the shutdown, a great deal. In 2018/2019, 61%, more than 3 in 5 Americans.
And that was back when he said, "I will shut the government down." He said it himself back then. I'm not saying that the reason he was doing it was wrong. I'm not saying that him doing it was wrong. It's the optics of it. It's the game, dude. That's the big difference here. That's the 13% difference. The 13% difference is back then he said he was going to shut the government down. And like low information people, especially fucking egomaniacs that take polls all the time, they're going to hear that and it's going to drive the way that they think about something. This time he didn't say that. He really hasn't inserted himself into this almost at all. And now less than half people think it's actually on his shoulders, right?
Blame Trump.
And these are CNN polls, by the way, okay?
Great deal for that particular shutdown. You come over to this side of the screen, look at this. It's a different world. It's a different world. 48% of Americans blame Trump a great deal for this particular shutdown. So it's more than 3 in 5 back in 2018/2019. It's less than half, a drop of 13 points. Again, it's no real wonder that Donald Trump at this point, looking at the shutdown, says, you know what, it's not actually harming me politically, in large part because he's getting less of the blame.
So folks, like I said, even CNN, with all of their anti-Trump bias, can't deny the harsh reality of this entire situation. But now, folks, I want you all to take a listen to what Vice President J.D. Vance recently had to say about all of this. But first, I do want to say real quick that if you folks enjoy the daily news updates, please consider subscribing to the channel because it really does help a lot. But okay, take a listen to this.
We're in this position because Senate Democrats decided that they were going to shut down the government despite the fact that the House...
Welcome back, Nukes. It's good to see you again, my dude. Thank you for being here, bro.
...voted to keep the government open. And I have to be honest, Tony, it's actually not all Senate Democrats. To their great credit, a number of moderate Democrats voted with Republicans to keep the government open last night. Unfortunately, it was one faction of one branch of government, the far left faction of the Senate Democrats, who decided to shut down the people's government. And to your point about what's going to happen now, there are critical essential services that the people rely on that are going to suffer because of this. There are people who benefit from low-income food programs, families like mine who benefited from those programs, who are going to see those programs disappear. There are people, of course, who are flying today, should know that if their flight is delayed, I hope it's not, but it may have something to...
You make these changes that we want or people are going to starve. That's their only leverage point. And they think everyone's so fucking stupid that they're just going to believe that.
To do with the fact that our TSA agents and our air traffic controllers are no longer getting paid.
And so, folks, like J.D. Vance just said, not only are 40 million Americans nationwide about to lose their federally funded food assistance, but on top of that, right this very moment, we have tens of thousands of essential federal employees currently working without pay. But now, let's talk about where the Trump administration really stands regarding this entire Democrat shutdown. So on that note, take a listen to what Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent had to say just earlier this morning.
Today is day 26. I know you have been over there, but there has been a...
Fuck Disney, bro.
Government shutdown here. People are suffering. Federal employees are starting to go to food banks. Any light at the end of the tunnel on that? Should the president be meeting with Democrats again?
Well, what good does it do, Martha? They've dug in. The American people are hostage to Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries' poll numbers, because what's changed between now and the last time there was a clean continuing resolution is Chuck Schumer has tanked in the polls. Both of the two guys from Brooklyn, like I call them, are worried about being primaried from the left. 52 Republican senators have voted 11 times to reopen the government. 3 brave, moderate Democrats have come across the aisle. So, you know, I call on moderate Democratic senators to end this craziness. You'll be heroes. Because, Martha, what I can tell you is that we managed to find the money in the middle of October to pay our brave service members. And I think we'll be able to do it on November 1st. But we're going to be out of money on November 15th. And, for a military not to get paid is a disgrace. The other thing that's happening is this is starting to eat into the economy, starting to slow the economy, and we're also starting to see there's a problem with air traffic control, so it's starting to slow down our nation's travel.
But Secretary Bessent, I should add that the president's party, your party, controls the White House and both chambers of Congress. You don't think you bear any responsibility for this?
I fucking hate Disney so much, dude. Ugh. You guys own every piece of the government. Why can't you make something happen? Because the other party is voting against this. Like, there's a system set in place, and we do it in a certain way, right? So you're utilizing and weaponizing that system to say, ha ha, guess you don't have so much power. If your people going hungry is worth just this perceived optic W, I will never vote for a party like that ever in my life. That's where I'm at with it, okay? These people are fucking sick, dude. And until people start to realize that, like, two political parties, they are nothing but a pawn. And this is not just Democrat or Republican. Like, this is both. But in this case specifically, until people start to realize they are nothing but a pawn to political ideologies of people that don't give a fuck about them, the government is going to make decisions like this that's going to affect millions of people. Point fucking blank, dude.
Margaret, what can we do? What can we do for this desperate act that we can call on them to change their minds? Because I can tell you, the 1.5 trillion in spending that they're calling for, that's not on the table. We inherited a mess. We inherited the worst budget deficit to GDP when we weren't in a recession and we weren't at war. It was 6.4, 6.5%. We've managed to bring that down to 5.9%, and we're not going to let them be irresponsible with the budget again.
And so, folks, here's really the big takeaway. The Trump administration is just not going to be extorted into paying for the health care of millions of illegal aliens. That is just not going to happen.
See that right there. That was the moment. That was the moment when he sat down with Chuck Schumer, and I'm pretty sure Nancy Pelosi was sitting next to him, if I remember correctly. But that was the moment in his first term when he said, I'll give you that. I'm going to shut the government down. And he fucking owned that shutdown. Optically, right? Bill Hicks, what up, dude? Good to see you, man. He fucking owned that shutdown in that moment right there. He fucking owned it. So he's not doing that this time. That's what he needs to be doing. Right now, what he's doing now is the proper way to maintain optics with this. Let them throw their shit and let him just go, bro, but like, there's no changes being made. What changes are being made to the continuing resolution right now that is changing what is going on? What changes to the continuing resolution are being made that it's going to fuck people over? None? Then why aren't you voting for it? Because you want this thing. Okay, so you not voting for it is going to fuck people over. So if you want changes made, why can't we just go forward with this and take care of it later? Why does it have to happen right this second? It's as simple as that.
Happen regardless of how much the Democrats scream and shout.
But all they say is, it's a lie. It's not because of the 1.5 trillion to illegal aliens. Because the thing is, all of this stuff, you have to go in and look into all this and really read through everything in order to see that that's the truth. And they know everyday people don't want to fucking do this. Lemon and Manuka honey, you know, I need to jump on that, Nuxus. Manuka honey's the fucking bomb. I might actually have some. I'll have to see. I'll have to go in there and see. I remember a couple years ago, it would be a couple years old now, but a couple years ago, one of my coworkers brought over some lemon and Manuka honey and then this kind of tea that tasted like absolute butt. But when you put the lemon and the honey in there, it made it... it made it stomachable, you know? You know what I mean?
And so once again, here's what's about to happen unless the Democrats decide to vote alongside the Senate Republicans to officially end this shutdown. 32 million.
By the way, Bill Hicks, I hope you're doing well, man. It's good to see you in chat, bro. Thanks for being here, dude, for real.
Democrat voters are about to lose their federally funded food assistance right before holiday season. And as we all just saw, the majority of this country knows exactly who to blame: the Democrats. So folks, like I said earlier, this entire situation has pretty much turned into complete and total dooms.
So it's very, very simple how all this is working. Okay? Very, very simple. It all boils down to the question, will it fuck people over? Echinacea, that's what it was called. Yeah. It tasted like butt, but you know, I'm not much of a tea guy. I'm an American Southerner, dude. So like I like, you know, iced tea, which, you know, I'm trailer trash. So call me what you want. You're probably right. But I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I'm hanging in there, bro. But yeah, it all boils down to the question of what is in this continuing resolution now that you don't want to vote for. And then the question becomes, there's nothing in it now that you don't want to vote for. It's what's not in it now. Why can't that wait? Why does it have to happen right this second? All right. So, which one's this? This was a great video. I love this. Just listen close. I'll play it a couple times.
We're on the same side, bro. No, we're not. Yes, we are, bro.
I'll play that again.
There's no need for that. We're on the same side, bro. No, we're not. Yes, we are, bro.
No need for that. We're on the same side, bro. No, we're not. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Yes, we are, please. Please.
There's no need for that. We're on the same side, bro. No, we're not. Yes, we are, bro. There's no need for that. We're on the same side, bro. No, we're not. Yes, we are, bro.
Yes, we are, please. Yes, we are, please. That's what that is. Okay. So all these fucking Queers for Palestine people, all these folks that think that these guys, right, exactly, Nuxus. All these guys that think that these folks are just going to come here and embrace them. Yeah. Well, they'll embrace the women, that's for sure. Anyway, but all these people that think that all these like folks screaming Allahu Akbar and everything, these fucking Queers for Palestine, Democrats, liberals, all that, all of them that think that these people are just going to come over here and like vote for them and capitulate to what they think are fucking insane. They're out of their goddamn minds. Okay. Right, Creedog. Exactly. Exactly. They will start their own party for their own agenda, and all of these fucking losers who will bend over and spread their butt cheeks for these people will get fucked. That's it. Exactly, Nuxus. Yeah. Hey, Achilles, what going on, dude? Good to see you, man. Welcome in, bro. Glad you're here, dude. Yeah, it's a Pied Piper. And he took all the dipshit kids off into the woods, and no one ever saw him again. Fredo, what's up, dude? Good to see you, man. Welcome in, bro. Exactly, Nuxus. Exactly. All right. So, this is how Italian police are responding to massive groups of Islamists and the pro-Palestine anti-fascists. Anyone who's watched my stream for roughly about the past, I'd say since the LA riots, I have said the exact same thing. And I do nothing but talk shit about these groups of cops with riot shields and batons backing up as these groups of people come at them. These people, the second they are shown an equal amount of force, they will tuck tail and fucking run. Okay? And here's a perfect example. That's right, dude. Get the fuck out. Yep. Action Online, welcome in, bro. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Always good to see you, man. Look, here's the thing. This is how we need to respond to this shit, okay? These people aren't peaceful. That's proven by now. You have a baton. Yeah, bonk for you, yeah. That's great, bro. You have a baton. You have a riot shield. Fucking use them. What up, in 8 ways? Good to see you. I get so fucking tired of seeing these massive groups cuck the fuck out of the police force of local cities. I'm so done with this shit. These people are getting... They're given an inch and they take a mile. And instead of pushing them back to the line, they give them another inch. What fucking sense does that make? Let's watch this one more time. See, and here's the thing. When you have a big group of people like that, you know what's going on? There are people in the back going, no, back up, because they don't want to get fucking cracked with the baton. That's what's happening. Sorry, Ashton. I'm just getting, like, if these kinds of demonstrations are not met with force the way they need to be, these people will overrun the country. That's what's happening right now. Good on Italy, dude. See? Didn't even crack him on the head. 2 taps to the helmet and dude went running. That's right. Get the fuck back. Get back. Go home. Go back to your job. Shut the fuck up. Yep. I love to see it. Call me a fascist, call me whatever. I don't give a shit. If me being pro-police actually exerting force on violent groups of people, if that makes me a fascist, then I am a fascist, okay? But I'm not. But if that's the colloquial definition that we're all going with now, I'm here. Here I am. Another one. Another fucking stupid bitch, dude. See? Tried to fucking trip that dude. Yeah. More fucking perpetual self-victimization bullshit, dude. These are the people that we're dealing with. See? That encapsulates everything in a fucking 15-second clip. Okay? In a 15-second clip, we just saw somebody try to exert some form of force or violence on someone else. If you're tripping a cop, that's violence as far as I'm concerned. Go fuck yourself. And then the second they get met with an equal opposing force, go fuck yourself, bitch. Easy. More of this, please. Okay? More of this. Alright. So I wanted to get a little into Portland. Since we're on this topic, you know. This is hold on, I had a JD Daily video pulled up. 1 second. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. I got to be careful pulling up my X feed because there's some non-POS friendly stuff on there. You know what I mean? Okay. I was at work and I was scrolling through X, and one of the things that I saw, it said my political views in 2016 or whatever, and it was like, you know, some chill hippie. And then the next one, it said my political views in 2025, and it was Gavin McInnes, and he goes, Sing Heil! And then drops like a hard R N-word. It's like, whoa! I had that, like, the volume turned up on my phone and shit, dude. I gotta be careful with shit like that, man. Which, granted, you guys know what I feel about Hitler. I'm not a fan of the Nazi Party. I'm not a fan of any of that shit. It's all, like, you know, it's all a bunch of horse shit. He was a terrible fucking leader. He just had like some values that I align with. That's really all it comes down to. And no one, I don't think there's anybody in the country that can say he didn't have values that were relatable, right? Like, he loved animals and he was against smoking cigarettes. And, you know, he wanted the best, at least he claimed that he wanted the best for his people, right? Like, everyone can fucking, like, align with something. All right. Dude, where the fuck? Hold on. He just put a video out. Did he take it down? Hold on. Let's see. I like this guy. He's oh shit, dude. Maybe. Yeah, okay. I guess he took it down. Anyway, so just along these same lines, this is Liberal Hive Mind. Please go by, give him a sub. I've been watching this guy for years now. Got really good takes. I'm not with him 100%, but like on everything, but a lot of his takes are very good.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Here's the...
Okay, he always starts with meme of the day. Fucking classic, dude, by the way. Just want to say, like, that's amazing.
Meme of the day brought to you guys by 5mind.com. We bring the memes. Friends, it seems like the reality on the streets of Portland just flipped. You know, for a decade, Antifa ran these streets. Anytime even a remotely right-wing group tried to organize any event, Antifa would show up.
By the way, he's working with Matt Morse and somebody else on that FiveMind.com. I'm actually, I was thinking about doing meme reviews over there to see, you know, what kind of good stuff is on there, because they're very like pro free speech, no censorship, doesn't matter how fucking offensive it is. So I'm gonna take a look through FiveMind, and I'm gonna see if it's TOS friendly, how TOS friendly it is, you know, how maybe TOS unfriendly it is. We'll see. And we can possibly start doing some meme reviews over on the lower class channel.
Swarm, intimidate, and for a while, it was working. I think most people thought it wasn't worth it, so they decided to stay home. And that's how we've ended up in this space where Antifa just completely controls the streets. But now it seems that era is over. The culture has clearly shifted on a national stage. And now Antifa is no longer alone. No, patriots are now showing up outside the ICE facility every single night. And they're doing so unapologetically, but most importantly, visibly and peacefully. And that's once again exposing the truth to everybody, because the second there's a real counter presence to the Antifa presence, well, the mask slips now, doesn't it? The same crew that's claiming to defend democracy and fight
right, yeah, same, Darth. Yeah. Dude, I've been watching him since like 2022, I think. I only remember like when I found his channel. I think I might have found it on Reddit. I think it was from like the Left Can't Meme, r/the Left Can't Meme. That was my favorite Reddit channel for a while, dude, because there was just some seriously goof on that.
Fascism goes straight to violence and vandalism. Yet we've got chaos outside the ICE facility once again. Antifa militants involved in multiple assaults and destruction of property. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so the Patriots have showed up, and well, it's kind of all-out chaos.
Oh.
This is my zone. Stay out of it. This is my zone.
See, it just madness happens.
Antifa! Antifa! Antifa!
They're not a group, though, guys. They're just chanting the name in unison to someone who's starting the chant. They're not a group. They're not an organization.
Hey guys. No fascists allowed in camp. No fascists allowed.
Hey, is that Tyler Robinson's boyfriend?
Good thing I'm not a fascist. Good thing I'm. Why would I go around? It's a public sidewalk. Well, good thing I'm not a fascist, or I actually hate fascists. Like you guys. What's wrong with you? Come in. I don't know. Look at you. You're blocking a public sidewalk. What's wrong with you guys?
Take that helmet off! Take that helmet off! Take that helmet off!
See, back in 2020, being right-wing and coming out and doing counter-protests like this was completely socially unacceptable. It was entirely socially unacceptable. You would not see groups of people going out and saying they love America. You would not see people doing that. It was widely socially unacceptable. How the turns have tabled, right? Like, it's very clear which way the pendulum in society is moving, and it's not moving to the left.
And in every single one of those situations, and those are just the ones that were caught on camera, the Patriot presence was simply just standing there. And time again, you get groups of masked agitators wearing helmets, covering their faces, piling up like a damn mob, intimidating people, harassing them, and then of course, out of nowhere, just punching them in the face. And from what I understand, what's being reported on the street, mostly from Cam Higbee, there were multiple incidents. Cam Higbee himself at one point having his cell phone smashed.
see the mask, buddy. Let's see the face. Let's see the face. Yeah, he's down without a mask.
Leave this guy alone. Stop it right now. Stop it.
Phone's broken again.
You good?
My camera shattered. Face on camera, he broke my phone. I'm done with the property damage. I'm done with you breaking my.
That fat tub of lard got arrested too. Just saying. Now, granted, it was from Portland police, so he's probably going to be back out in the streets today, right? But just saying, that fucking butterball, they actually arrested him.
So tough behind your mask.
And again, the same MO, an individual hiding behind the mask, wearing the gear, trying desperately to keep his identity hidden. The proof is once again being exposed. These are not protesters. They're left-wing street enforcers, engaging in violence or celebrating violence with their typical sewer rhetoric. Many of them on the streets still spewing bile, mostly celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. And now, of course, the obvious question is, following what we've been covering.
And then what they do is they have 4 fucking losers show up in blow-up costumes, all get within the frame of a camera and dance around to music in a 10-15 second clip and say, look guys, this isn't violent. There you go, Achilles. Yeah, 100%. But yeah, like, these are the most disingenuous, lying sacks of shit people in the country. Now, granted, are there people that are actually not violent and out here protesting? Sure. But they should be fighting against the people who are violent just as much as the police or ICE or DHS if you really want to give your movement legitimacy. Bottom fucking line. I'm so glad all this gets caught on camera today. I'm so fucking glad all this gets caught on camera today.
Over the last couple of weeks, what the heck is Portland police doing? You got Antifa goons all over the streets intimidating people, mobbing up on people they disagree with, smashing their phones, in many cases assaulting them, just like we saw with Andy Ngo years ago. Actually, speaking of that, I had a clip that I unfortunately lost, but just an innocent bystander, a journalist who wasn't representing either side, got punched in the face multiple times yesterday and had a bloody nose. It's happening constantly, and apparently the police know. They're fully aware. They're getting calls. And yet once again, we see there's a stand down order when it comes to dealing with these insurgents. Again, Cam Higbee hits us with the receipts. I'm relying on a lot of his journalism, by the way, so you guys should definitely follow him on X. I'll put his social up here. But he released this text message chain. Look at this. It seems the Portland Police Department was informed explicitly about what was going on the streets, and yet they did nothing. They admit that they got a call on the board for 6 people fighting. He claims that it wasn't 6, but rather 20 plus, a riot. They got repeated calls, and yet no police presence ever even showed up. It even gets deeper as Cam Higbee is claiming that he heard on the police communications on scanners that they received a...
I mean, the fucking chief of police himself, like, not even spurred on, he basically did it in like some kind of a brag, was talking about how they haven't had this shit under control for months, and it's like a 2x2 block radius. Like that's some kind of fucking optic W. Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, well, it's just kind of misleading because it's a 2x2 block radius, and some of these videos came out months ago. So why the fuck haven't you done anything about it? Like, are you that impotent that you can't control what you're making out to be some kind of small demonstration? Well, federal officers are in a position where they have to fire tear gas, pepper balls, and rubber bullets at people. He's operating under this narrative that, well, it's not that big of a deal. You're complicit then. That's it.
stand down order, and so you had a multiple hour window here where masked militants were roaming around, intimidating the Patriot presence, attacking them, multiple assaults, one woman getting punched in the face, Cam Higbee getting his phone smashed up, as well as many other assaults, and the Portland police, didn't even want to lift a finger. And I love the way they claim that they received reports of brawls happening. Yeah, brawls. Obviously, that's the wrong word. The word brawl implies mutual. But what we're seeing time and time again is patriots showing up, holding space, documenting what's going on, trying to engage with people on ideas, discussing peacefully, and then Antifa crossing the lines, assaulting people and damaging their property. Not to mention, they've got illegal encampments, they're blocking public sidewalks, not allowing people to walk through, and yet the Portland police doesn't give a crap. They give them free rein to do whatever they want. These are public spaces that the government should be keeping safe and orderly, but instead they allow these illegal encampments. They allow Antifa to take over entire city blocks.
And why is 911 a text message service? That's fucking crazy. Tax money pays for this shit. You mean to tell me that if someone is in my house with a gun trying to kill me and I don't have access to any form of self-defense, let's just say, right? I do, but I'm just saying, hypothetically, I'm supposed to cower in a corner with my phone out going, hey, what you doing? You know what I mean? That's fucking insane to me. Right, Rude, but it's an emergency service.
To direct traffic, to block traffic. And then when they get reported...
Okay, fair. That's a good point. Rude. I'll give you that. I'll give you that one.
Of people being assaulted on the streets, they go, people just brawling, people, mutual combat on the streets. All officers are told to stand down. Once again, it's a pure illustration of what's going on here. You got conservatives who are peaceful, who just want to be seen, who just want to offer a counter presence. They want to show up and speak, and the left doesn't want to debate. They just attack. And the corruption goes all the way to the tippy top. The city is just looking away, allowing it to happen. When the evidence surfaces, they pretend it doesn't exist, or they claim that it's, a conspiracy theory. It's absolutely backwards. It's rotten. And I'm just glad that, we're starting to see more patriotic presence. People aren't intimidated anymore. They're showing up. They're standing up. They're not cowering. They're not running away. They're meeting these Antifa insurrectionists, these insurgents, face to face, head on. They're engaging in the right way. They're not starting fights. They're, of course, defending themselves, but they aren't starting fights. They aren't attacking people. And the left, of course, as per usual, they're exposing themselves. The violent rhetoric, the calls to violence, the celebration of Charlie Kirk's murder, and then, of course, the explicit violence, the actual assaults, the damage to people's property who are...
Creed, if this were to happen in my neighborhood, this is how I'm going to act, right? I'm putting myself in the shoes of people that actually live around there and have nothing to do with this. My anger comes from actual empathy. Because, some people may not believe this, but it's the truth. There are people who live in Portland that want nothing to do with any of this shit. They want all the fucking... street blocking and engagements between people and federal agents and police and all this bullshit, the destruction of buildings, all that. They want it all to stop. They're tired of it. There's business owners in Portland that are like, please send the fucking National Guard.
acting peacefully and innocently. It's the perfect contrast. It's left versus right in the modern day, and I just love that it's being highlighted. Of course, please stay safe, but the Patriot presence is working wonders right now and fully exposing the truth. The left very obviously has no moral ground to stand on. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
Well, so society should make designated space for protest. Anywhere else is legal. Well, see, that's the thing, Rude, right? Like, streets are illegal. It's illegal to protest in the middle of streets, but people still do it. That's the thing. So, like, there's two options. send the police out and have them like forcibly drag people off, which that's what I'm for. But the other one is for citizens to show up and start dragging these people out of the streets. I mean, like, you have two options there, right? So that's where we're at right now with all of this. Okay. Now, granted, I do want to say, I don't know how long this is going to last, right? Yeah, so would I, Bill. I would never live there. And it doesn't even have anything to do with, like, politics, dude. It's a fucking drug-infested city. Everyone I've ever known that has gone there, you go downtown and there's people, like, nodding off, like, sitting on the sidewalk and shit on almost every block. Like, that's crazy.
Antifa in Portland has lost their battle. You have absolutely nobody outside the ICE building right now. Their encampment has been completely shut down. You do not see a single member of Antifa, as the police actually came in today and said they cannot no longer be here.
So it was that easy. It was that easy the whole time? The police just had to come out and say, hey, you guys can't be here, and they fucking left? That's all that had to happen? To stop this, like, 2-block radius that's been going on for apparently fucking months? All they had to do was come out and ask them to leave? This is a failure in leadership. That's what it is. An abysmal, cataclysmic failure.
It looks like a hoarder's house here, but you have quite literally everything from buckets full of medicine, toothpaste, floss. You have food right here. You have all sorts of medical gear as well. They had boxes full of masks, and they had a load supply of water. They had all of their supplies and party supplies in here, and they even had things such as fridges, and they even had a barbecue here as well. So this is the end of Antifa for right now. It's been completely dismantled. Here is the barbecue they had right here.
I don't know if it's necessarily been dismantled. I mean, that's crazy to even, like, say that. But what this points out is that this entire time, they've been saying how even though people have been getting violent with federal officers, people have been getting violent with police, they've been, like, engaging with, local law enforcement, all of a sudden, all they had to do was come out and ask these people to leave? That's all they had to do? Why couldn't they do that before? What stopped them from stopping this? When they say that some of these videos come from months ago. This has been going on for months in a very small side of town. And this police chief, per his own admission, has just fucking let this go. And all he had to do was come out and say, hey, y'all can't be here anymore, and they just disperse? I thought there were lives at stake. I thought they were fighting fascism. But then the police come out and ask them to leave? And they go, well, that's it, boys, and walk off? Are you serious? What kind of sense does that make? That's the thing with, like, a lot of these concepts. All you have to do is ask a question. Question literally everything. Aren't you fighting some fascist dictatorship that's taking over? So then the police come out and you just go, okay. I wonder why that is. All right. Let's see. Let's see if there's anything new, any new updates, anything popping off right now. I kind of burned through all the all the content I built up for the stream. Which isn't always a bad thing. I mean, fuck, man. Like, you know, it was it's definitely been some good stuff we've gone through. Oh yeah, here's
Portland
Decoy
police
Boys.
have seemingly
This was
sided
4 days
with
ago.
Antifa to fight against federal law enforcement. Now, if this isn't the start of Civil War Part 2, the shootout over in Los Angeles definitely is. But first, the Portland protesters always seemed confusingly confident facing off against the feds.
How can anybody take these people seriously? That's a fucking, like, 40-year-old man with a binky in his mouth. Are you fucking kidding me?
Knock the f*** out! You fake Christian! You fake Christian!
But as Nick Sorter shows us, it's likely because the local police seemingly help them build cases against federal agents.
Thank you, man.
So when these activists blasted ICE with bright lights, they were actually able to find protection getting security from Portland PD.
Nice aim! I love that! Whoa! Get the metal! Whoa!
They're hiding behind the sign. And they're running for cover behind Portland police. Oh my god. You've got to be kidding me.
And they're bicycle cops, too. What the fuck are they gonna do, bro? Right, exactly, Nuxus. They were asked. They didn't push them all out. There's not videos of them pushing them all out. They said, hey, guys, you probably shouldn't be out here right now. Okay, and then they left. What kind of fucking sense does that make? None. It doesn't make a fucking squirt of piss of sense.
We have no idea. Nobody told us anything. So we're standing there. We don't know what's going on. So it's just like she's literally running behind you guys. That's we don't know why she's running.
Nice aim! I love that!
But we don't know why she's running. We have a perfect fucking 180 point of view. And people who are in active engagements with federal agents are running behind us, and we're just standing there. We don't know why.
Whoa! Get the metal! Whoa!
Free dog, that's wild, bro.
If the police can't see when federal agents fire pepper balls essentially right at their feet, maybe these guys aren't cut out to be PD. But I somehow doubt he's actually that dumb. It's more likely the Portland police are just conveniently not noticing when they're assisting these activists. And while playing stupid isn't a civil war, it's definitely where these left-leaning cities are heading. California just signed a bill that bans ICE agents from wearing masks to be enforced by their local PD, and over in Illinois, they're thinking about how they can prosecute ICE agents. But who would actually do that? Possibly the illegals Illinois employs as police.
A police officer working in Illinois is an illegal immigrant. He has been living in the U.S. illegally for a decade after his tourist visa expired in 2015.
As insanely, this isn't the first time they've discovered non-citizen peace officers. And here we go again. Whenever the Democrats deny something is happening, it's always, That thing never happens. You're just fear-mongering. Okay, maybe it happens sometimes, but only very rarely, until it's finally, yeah, it happens a lot. But here's how it's a good thing. The same way they say the anti-ICE protest.
But at least now they have representation and authority. They don't deserve representation and authority. That's how this country works.
The actual attacks activists are enacting on our ICE agents, as what starts as seemingly harmless, rich liberals instructing individuals to track ICE ends up being insanely dangerous actions of people proudly recording themselves impeding in law enforcement.
I don't give a You're gonna shoot a pregnant woman? Yeah, you're gonna shoot a pregnant woman? Yeah? Stop, no, please. He just put a gun on it. This piece of a man just pointed a gun at a pregnant woman. Right there, right there. I was going through this side. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and what led up to that? I'm so tired of this fucking, like, pussy-ass self-victimization bullshit, dude. I'm so tired of it. It's gotten so old to me. Like, I have empathy. I am careful with where I place it. Because I will never have my empathy weaponized against me again. Ever. I'm fucking done with that shit. And everyone else should be too.
My son is in the car too.
I honestly think she wants to be attacked, just so she can play the victim and blame the feds, because she's a terrible mother that probably should be in prison, and we just saw the evidence. How some of them are getting off with warnings.
Exactly, Doom. 100%, bro.
Warnings.
¿Por qué te vas, güey? Son unos perros. Son unos perros. Son unos perros.
Follow us, we're gonna arrest you.
Okay, arréstame.
Si síguenos,
Arréstame.
vamos a arrestar.
Arréstame.
Si hace impeding,
Arréstame, güey. ¿Tú qué? ¿Tú qué? Okay. Están maltratando a mi gente.
Exactly, Rude. Yeah. And that's not even victim blaming. Like, if she was just driving down the street and some ICE officer pulled their gun on her and she wasn't doing anything, that's terrible, and that shouldn't happen. But she actively fucking engaged with them. That's crazy talk.
Perros. Están maltratando mi gente, perros.
But that doesn't matter, as just a few days ago in Chicago, it actually resulted in the ramming of ICE vehicles.
Chicago police who had remained at bay, now starting to put themselves in the middle of the, oh God. Protesters are starting to throw rocks. We're going to get away from the scene right now, Judy.
Okay, Michelle, you take care of yourself. I'm going to let.
And this is definitely escalating, as today in Los Angeles, a TikToker allegedly rammed a federal agent and ended up being shot by the cops.
Yep. A U.S. Marshal and an illegal alien were both shot in L.A. this morning.
That's a rip bozo. I mean, like, I don't even feel a lick of sympathy for that person. At all. None. If you're ramming your car into police officers, federal agents, anybody, and you're doing it purposefully, womp fucking womp, dude. I don't know what you want from me.
It was during an immigration operation.
Yeah, Doomerang, the fuck around and find out chart, exactly.
At this time, we are told, have non-life-threatening injuries. Fox is told that federal agents surrounded and boxed in a target. That target then rammed federal vehicles in an attempt to escape. The feds fired their weapons. One U.S. Marshal was hit.
This is definitely escalating quickly, as TikTokers just trying to gain internet fame have gone from playing stupid pranks to actually getting shot while committing federal felonies. And what's worse is the media still downplaying the attack. The local ABC affiliate headlines it with undocumented immigrant shot by federal agents, and in very small text.
Exactly, Rude. 100%. Yeah, me too, man. Oh, those were great, dude. Like, I remember, I read this one story in the Darwin Awards one time, and it was about this guy who he was selling window panes to this office building in New York, and Doom, let's talk about that. But he was selling window panes in New York, and he was talking about how they were completely unbreakable. He said no matter how hard you throw yourself at these window panes, they will not break. So in order to have a demonstration, he full-on sprinted and launched himself at this window pane. And it didn't break, but it dislodged from the frame that it was in, and he fell like 20 stories to his death. Now, granted, that's probably not something necessarily to laugh about, but damn, dude, that's one of those stories where you read it and you go, you know what I mean?
Charged with assault on officer, while featuring him getting some award from the city council. KTLA reported it as federal agent and subject wounded in shooting in South LA, as most of mainstream reporting is conveniently ignoring how this TikToker assaulted a federal officer with his car and is now facing 8 years in federal prison. But by all means, ABC, it's definitely more important to inform the general public how he once received an award before getting shot by the cops. I wouldn't be surprised if by tomorrow they start showing photos from his high school graduation, making this about Trump terrorizing the community and not how the left-wing media is causing more immigrants to be shot. As remember in Texas, when that psycho fired rounds into
How you doing today, Greg? Good to see you, man. Welcome in, bro. Welcome in.
the ICE facility, he only hit immigrants inside, ending one of their lives. Even rewinding 3 months ago on the ICE raids outside of Los Angeles, where a legal immigrant was evading authorities and tragically fell to his death.
Because Trump has gone too far, even for his own supporters. When a farm worker who falls to their death during an ICE raid, we know it's gone too far. When masked agents come out of unmarked cars and disappear people, that is intentionally created chaos.
All of this could have been avoided if the Democrats simply allowed federal agents into sanctuary city courthouses to make arrests immediately after individuals lose their case. Or at the very least, stop making inflammatory statements against ICE agents, encouraging and rewarding the attacks in the streets, causing more people to get hurt. But they're not about actually protecting these people, they're about villainizing Trump to try to win the next election. And if they gotta start a civil war between the Portland police and the National Guard, they're probably salivating at how they can frame this as another reason the Orange Man is bad.
I'm so glad we have all of this on video. That's the end, isn't it?
So if you appreciate...
Yeah. Decoy Voice, big fucking great channel, dude. He just recently hit 1 million subs. Let's go give him a couple more if you're here listening. Big fan of his channel, man. He gives some good updates. But yeah, 100%. Like, I'm so glad that we have all of this on video. And this is something that I've been saying for a little while now, is it's great that, to a large degree, we don't even have to like argue and fight. You never interrupt your opponent when they're making a mistake. They've been doing that. Oh, here, I'll link his channel. One sec. Ooh. You guys want to make this spicy? I just found a good video that I want to watch. I didn't see this one. There you go. That's Decoy Voice's channel. Big bass Decoy Voice. All right. I'm gonna pull up a Matt Morris video, one more, just kind of going back to the shutdown, and then here's another one, another liberal hive mind video. So it looks like on here, this might be going kind of back to what yeah, I am, Grid. There's kind of a storm going on right now, so if my stream starts getting unwatchable, please guys just let me know, and then I'll close it down. There's kind of a storm going on right now, so if I can't wait to get the fuck out of this building, dude. It's so bad. It's so bad. But anyway, let's
sedition. You see, ladies and gentlemen, earlier today, the Trump administration just put all of these sanctuary state leaders.
And that's so crazy that that's happening, Nuxus, because you're on the other side of the fucking world.
You can even call them that, on notice, promising to finally hold them accountable for not only engaging in insurrection, but also sedition. You see, as you all know, various sanctuary states across the nation have been operating in direct and open defiance of the federal government, as well as the will of the American people, for decades now. And as of late, they've even begun openly harboring, aiding, and abetting not just millions of illegal aliens, but also far-left domestic terrorists like Antifa. Which is why, as of just earlier this morning, the Trump administration has decided to finally start holding all of these sanctuary state insurrectionists accountable. Take a look.
J.B. Pritzker could be arrested. Let's talk about your willingness and under what federal authority do you arrest a sitting governor? I understand the supremacy clause. I understand interference with a federal officer. Tell me how it works that he would make himself susceptible to being arrested.
Well, the answer I'm about to give doesn't only apply to Governor Pritzker. It applies to any state official, any local official, anybody who's operating in an official capacity who conspires or engages in activity that unlawfully impedes federal law enforcement conducting their duties. So if you engage in a criminal conspiracy to obstruct the enforcement of federal immigration laws or to unlawfully order your own police officers or your own officials to try to interfere with ICE officers or even to arrest ICE officers, you're engaged in criminal activity. Different kinds of crimes would apply. There is enforcement of our immigration laws. And then as you get up the scale of behavior, you obviously get into seditious conspiracy charges, depending on the conduct, and many other offenses. So again, it depends on the action, it depends on the conduct, it depends on what is taking place. But what we need to reassure, a couple points, to all ICE officers, you have federal immunity.
Yeah, Stephen Miller, he is slappy top. I'm gonna be there one day. I'm not there yet, but I respect it. My man stands strong, bro.
In the conduct of your duties. And anybody who lays a hand on you or tries to stop you or tries to obstruct you is committing a felony. You have immunity to perform your duties, and no one, no city official, no state official, no illegal alien, no leftist agitator or domestic insurrectionist can prevent you from fulfilling your legal obligations and duties. And the Department of Justice has made clear that if officials cross that line into obstruction, into criminal conspiracy against the United States or against ICE officers, then they will face justice.
You hear that, folks? Justice, and that's exact criminally accountable. And as you all know, that is exactly what sanctuary state governors and sanctuary city mayors have been doing for years now. They've been existing and operating in open and direct defiance of federal immigration law for longer than I have even been alive. And so now it's finally time for some accountability. In fact, here's what some of that accountability actually looks like.
We've charged some conspiracies. We are looking at
I don't know,
but you really the FBI.
I'll be honest, Grid. I don't even know how to fix it anymore, man. It seems like every time I try to get like a leg up on the streaming thing, something else gets in my way. But that's not going to stop me. I'm just going to keep going at it and going at it and going at it. I don't know if it's my internet. I don't know if it's my computer. See, like, so I'm not getting any freezing or anything coming from my computer itself, but I am getting, like, watching this on my phone so I can keep tabs on chat. It's freezing. And then it's also freezing for multiple other folks. I don't understand why that's happening. Like, it's freezing real bad on my phone right now. So
is just getting its hands around the Antifa. Up until the president and the Attorney General, Pam Bondi's been so aggressive on this.
Yeah, me too, man. It's, dude, my internet, did I pay $130 for a gigabyte? And, like, it shows that I have fucking 750 download speed, and I get up to like 35 upload. I don't understand. That's not a bad idea. We'll see. Well, so with OBS though, it's still it's layered still, right? So it's still going to be playing from my camera software just behind the video it's actually showing, isn't it? I mean, we can see. It's worth a shot.
Until they've made Antifa a domestic organization. I have to tell you, Laura, they weren't taking them very seriously. They were just saying, you know what, these are just some vandalizers, some small assaults. We'll let the states handle them. The FBI did not take them seriously until this new administration. So we are now getting up to speed on those investigations and doing intelligence and applying other assets to figure out how they work and who they are.
So there you have it, folks. For everyone who's been supporting various far-left domestic terror organizations like Antifa, RICO charges are on the way. And of course, as you all know, many of these sanctuary state politicians have been bending over backwards to not just turn a blind eye to Antifa, but also to openly support them. But you know what? I want you all to take a look at how we even got into this mess in the first place. But first, I do want to say real quick that if you guys enjoy the daily news updates, please consider subscribing to the channel because it really does help a lot. But okay, check this out.
Again, let's go back to the unending nightmare that we lived through for 4 years under Biden, where single adult men in groups in caravans or traveling alone would show up at the border, present themselves, and
Corey, yeah, I know, dude. It's just because I'm a right winger. That's it.
Biden would order the Border Patrol at taxpayer expense to ferry them on to the destination of their choice. In this case, California.
Dude.
That happened in 2022. The Biden.
Okay. All right. Hold on. So it's definitely my connection. When I pull up OBS, it's going all the way down to 0 kilobytes per second. Right now it's at now it's almost at 9 megabytes per second. But when I pulled it up, so it's not my computer. It's solely my connection to OBS. I don't understand why that's happening. It's like the second I start to play the video. Yeah, Rude, yeah, or Grid, yeah.